Cooperation for all agencies who are, in a phrase that we use, touching a child or a young adult, is essential, because almost every young adult that I have seen, and also myself, are what is called cross systems. Cross systems mean that this one young adult is in many different systems. When I was in child welfare, I was also in a mental health. I was seeing a mental health provider. I was also, being served for my, learning disabilities I may have had in class. It was integral for all of these pieces to be together and have the same goal for this youth or young adult.
Disability Rights Ohio is the state protection and advocacy agency for people with disabilities. There is an agency like us in every state because we are a federally designated protection and advocacy system. In the context of foster youth, we can help them in a couple of different ways. One way, of course, is special education and ensuring that students who are in the foster care system get appropriate educational services.
Kind of really go back and think about even what life was like before foster care. Things were normal, my mother was married, and then I started seeing things go south. My mother, she fell ill with addiction. And then it was that one day that there was a knock on the door, and it was a social worker and the county sheriff coming to remove us from the house. By that time I was 13, and there started my foster care journey.
So Bridget's Path is a newborn recovery center in Kettering, Ohio. And what we do is help moms and babies who are impacted by addiction. Children's Services is a big partnership with us. We work with them to figure out what's going on in the family's lives and figure out what we can put around the family to help support them so baby never has to go into foster care system.
Growing up, my sister and I had a really unstable childhood, and we were constantly bouncing back and forth between other people's homes, sometimes even strangers. And then eventually, when I was in the 3rd grade, our mother had abandoned us, and we were forced to live with my dad, where we suffered several years of severe abuse. And then finally, I entered the foster care system.
Most of our kids come in with 3 feeling words. They can say happy, mad, and angry. Usually those are the 3 words that they know. And our job is to put voice to the emotions that they have, to the things that have caused them upset and to lose trust in others. One of the biggest things that I tell my staff and myself is sometimes the most important thing we do is help them to learn that there are people in the world that they can trust.
I aged out of care when I was actually still a student in high school. I was cut off from basically the only support system that I had ever known. And because of that, I saw no choice but to leave school to work full-time to be able to support myself.
Kids who are in care, 49% of them don't even graduate from high school. So being able to surpass that feat, or getting ready to surpass that feat, felt real good. But what didn't feel good was the conversation of, you're about to live on your own, you're about to live on your own, you're about to live on your own. And that's scary.
Bridges picks up when a young adult from the typical Children's Services Agency is what's called emancipating, is when they are turning 18. A court has indicated they have reached age of majority and that they will follow along and allow for the emancipation of this young adult. This young adult becomes a full adult, so to speak. Bridges really is a way of giving you a plethora of resources up to your age of 21 and asking you to take advantage of this, to really let that be a springboard for self-sufficiency.
What a lot of these agencies do is plan for the young person without the young person present. And that was me. You know, they had this whole plan. Well, Jamal, you're going to age out, and you know, we're going to get you. You're going to have an apartment, and you're going to live happily ever after. But you didn't ask me if that's what I wanted. So I really had a hard time with that. I'm like, because I was like, if there was an advocate or somebody there helping me to either funnel these questions, get some understanding, that I wouldn't have been as angry at the system as I was.
When I'm on the bench and I'm dealing with a family and dealing with a crisis and where a child should be placed, there are lawyers everywhere. Lawyers representing the state of Ohio, representing the parents, representing grandparents, and sometimes lawyers representing the children, but no one is representing the interest of the child. And that's what's critical. Not the legal terminology of what is the legal thing to do, but what's best for the child. And my CASA volunteers, in my opinion, are the most neutral. They're not fighting for the mother, they're not fighting for the state of Ohio or the Children's Services Agency. They are fighting for the child to tell me what's best for that child. And that's what's critical. I can't do my job if I have 4 different views, but nobody's telling me, in my opinion, the truth about what's best for the child. And that's what a CASA volunteer can do for the court.
The challenge is really with the collaboration with state agencies, and so I feel like the CASA relationship is extremely undervalued, and it's not even available in all 88 counties in Ohio right now. So going forward, I would love to see that their input be valued more in the courtroom and just in the care plan for the child, and that access to having a CASA be expanded so that every child can experience that and experience what I had felt, just to have someone on their side.